Chapter 1. William. Day by achingly meaningless day, William would wake up and go to work. 20 years of life, and he had no desire for anything the world had to offer. He would start his shifts at Palace Entertainment, work for 8 hours, go to bed, and repeat the cycle over and over. William would coordinate lights, help transport equipment, and press whatever buttons they needed him to press, and Aunt Alice would leave him alone most of the time. The times she didn't, because of his own failings. A wrong cue, a dropped light stand, an expression that was anything other than pleasant, and any other time she felt the need to scold him. It was not so innocent as concern, but more so out of obligation. And he knew that, always had. The only reason he had his job was because of her need to monitor him, to ensure he would be as close to functioning as possible. Frankly, he had grown numb to it. Nothing mattered enough for him to care about her cold glances in the hallway or to put up a fight when he was berated by his manager. All in all, if William Caliban had to describe himself in one word, it would be pathetic. He wasn't upset by the thought, he just knew it was true. It wasn't as if anyone was better than him anyway. In his eyes, everyone was equally wretched, so what did it matter if he was too? So, Aunt Alice could think what she liked, and William would clock into work again, the same routine as the last 3 years, and he would hide in his oversized sweaters like usual. One such day was unfolding before him now, though this one was livelier in the brightly lit hallways that always made him squint. Employees were bustling about, setting up the largest dance studio in the company building for an event William had not fully paid attention to when he was told the day before. He simply followed instructions as he was given them, but he caught excited whispers as he did so. "How many people are auditioning?" one girl asked another as their heads leaned together. "They narrowed it down to 10 after online submissions, is what I heard," the other replied. A man in a sharp suit held his phone to his ear, speaking in a gruff, displeased voice. "It's a shame Oliver's retired now. Really think we'll find his replacement?" The picture became clear to William then, filling in the blanks he had started the day with. The biggest solo idol from Palace Entertainment, Oliver, had retired not long ago, leaving a rather large space to fill in his wake. William had not cared for Oliver, because William did not care for anyone in general. Besides, he never understood what the big deal about Oliver was. Even so, William was one of the few tech supports who would be assisting in the auditions. He slowly became a bit curious as time went on. It wasn't often that the company did auditions rather than scouting. So, he let his interest peak, if only because it made the time go faster. His manager found him as he was coiling an extension cord around his arm, and he received instructions to make his way to the tech booth overlooking the dance studio. William obeyed, settling into a worn rolling chair and checking the lighting board to make sure everything was ready. He busied himself with that for a while, trying to look occupied so no one would bother him, until he heard the door to the studio open. 2 employees propped open the doors, leading the 3 top executives of the company to their seats. Shortly after, more footsteps followed as 10 individuals trailed in. At least, William assumed so, as he was staring down at his hands the entire time and trying to be as inconspicuous as possible until he was actually needed. After introductions, the hopeful prospects left the room until the first name was called. It was a young woman, probably still in her teens, and the song she performed was a sickeningly sweet pop number that William grimaced at. It wasn't that he disliked music, but that he disliked people, and even more so when he had to sit through a live performance against his will. He still followed instructions, switching on lights when he needed to, guiding them to their positions, and just going through the motions. When the girl left, the judges jotted down notes on clipboards, and then called in the next name. It was a young man this time, late teens, with wavy blonde hair that shone with glitter under the brightness that filled the room. William knew immediately this man would not get the solo spot. His aura screamed boy group. As he sang, William did his job as normal, the music sounding far away as he let himself drown it out. Eventually, the man's turn ended, and name after name was called. Each act that followed was more dull than the last, and William's thoughts wandered to other things, namely, when he was going to scrounge around for dinner that night. Unfortunately, His peacefulness was occasionally interrupted by singers belting especially long notes, and he found himself growing more and more annoyed. It felt never-ending, and the parade of objectively good-looking people who could perform well enough to make it there had lost his interest completely. William didn't care about their voices or their looks. He had never found anyone attractive and never thought anyone's singing was good enough to warrant praise. He was simply a being that breathed air and continued to survive, despite a lack of drive to do so. His thoughts drifted to dinner again. Maybe he'd have some instant ramen if he still had some hidden away. "Last audition," said one of the executives. "Let's hope we get a winner this time." William just wanted it to be over, so the mention of the word last perked him up considerably. "All right, call in Lucien Angel." Footsteps echoed on the dance floor as a calm and measured presence immediately overtook the room. William almost glanced up from the light board, but somehow he found the aura intimidating despite its warmth. He had never felt anything like it, and his nerves became heightened. Still, he ignored it and just followed his cues. That is, until Lucien Angel began to sing. The shift in William was instantaneous, nearly too much to stand. His face snapped up, and he saw the most beautiful sight he had ever laid eyes on, accompanied by a voice that was worthy of the name it came from. The man was young, maybe around William's age, but he was everything William was not. Lucien Angel was ethereal, lovely, and completely perfect. His flowing hair was gathered into a thick ponytail, the locks bright and red like rubies. Even from a distance, William could make out clear blue eyes, vast and breathtaking as the sky. His features were soft, his skin was glowing, and there were twin silver studs on his lower lip. Lucien Angel was, in William's eyes, otherworldly. William missed every single one of his cues, his attention completely fixated on Lucien and his flawless voice. He had to get the spot to replace Oliver, and William had no doubt that he would. William needed him to be part of the company, to walk the same halls, to breathe the same air, to be close enough for William to see him with his own eyes whenever possible. Nothing had ever given him such a feeling of need, never such desire as he felt the moment he knew Lucien existed. He had found a reason to live, finally, blessedly, and nothing else mattered. When Lucien's song was over, William felt tears run down his cheeks, and he wiped them away on his sleeve before anyone could see. He watched him leave the room, and his absence left an emptiness so crushing that William felt he might just die then and there. He found it hard to breathe, the idea that he may never see Lucien again aching in his lungs. But before he could be lost to the feeling, one of the judges spoke up. "I think we found our next star." And William smiled. He could not remember the last time he did so, and he could not wipe it from his face. Lucien would come again, and William would see him, and he would breathe again.